Hello everybody, welcome to Maggie and Michael's kitchen again. This morning I'm going to play at making Easter egg blondies. You can see that we've got some lovely mini eggs here, and I've cut, well I say Michael has cut half of the Easter eggs in half. If children are going to be making this is where the grown-ups need to step in, so we don't want any lost fingers in making these gorgeous Easter egg blondies. I love baking for Easter. I bake hot cross buns every year, and this year I'm going to do them slightly differently, and I've discovered these mini egg blondies, and they're the texture of a chewy, doughy type mixture. You know how you undercook brownies, where you slightly undercook these, unless you want a more biscuity texture or a more cakey texture, then you'd give them 5 minutes extra in the oven. But I love them a little bit squidgy. So in my pan I've got the butter and I've melted it down, and I'm going to pop in the brown sugar and the caster sugar into there, and I'm going to go over to the stove and melt them together, and they'll become a lovely toffee-ish sort of mix. So I'm going to go in with my balloon whisk. I'm not sure if I need a balloon whisk or just a wooden spoon. I've only made these once before, but oh my goodness, they are so Moorish. So I'm just melting it down until all the lumps of sugar have disappeared and the sugar has dissolved somewhat and have taken up all the melted butter. So there we are, lovely toffee colour, the brown and the white sugar and the unsalted butter. I've been having great fun playing at Easter baking and trying out different recipes, and I would love to share with you the different recipes I've been trying, but this week we're going to concentrate on hot cross muffin buns and mini egg blondies, and we'll see about whether there'll be an opportunity to share some Italian Easter bread that I've been playing around with. Yeah, we'll see. Now look, that's all come together. I don't want that to get too hot. It doesn't say in the recipe. I gleaned the recipe from Pinterest. I don't know if any of you go online onto Pinterest, but the recipe didn't say to let this sugary, buttery mixture cool before using it. And the last time I made this recipe, I certainly didn't cool it. I'm just going to pop this on a mat. Now in here, in my food mixer, I've got 2 eggs, and I'm just going to put a little pinch of salt in there. They say to throw salt over your left shoulder, don't they? Well, a bit of superstition. And a teaspoon and a half of vanilla extract or vanilla essence, whatever you've got. So there's a teaspoon, and ooh, that's a little bit more than a half, but never mind. And so I'm just going to give that a quick whisk, and then, well, it would help if I plugged the mixer in, wouldn't it? Just going to give them a quick mix, and then I'm going to add this sugary mixture and combine them both. So a bit of noise. The recipe doesn't indicate how long you're meant to mix this egg for. It just says to beat it, I think, doesn't it? So we're going to straight away, this has got to be one of the easiest recipes, and we'll turn out to be something utterly delicious. So I'm just pouring, darling, can you come round here and show from this side? All that sugary butter mixture is going in there. Now I'd better be quick because this is quite warm and we don't want to end up with scrambled eggs. So now we go on to whisk that all together. Michael's doing his handyman camera work.
I'm not so handy. All kinds of different angles coming in here.
We did the little demo last month using a tripod, but we're giving it a try. Just Michael holding the camera to get some close-up shots. So simple as that, and we're going to just add in the flour. Now I've sifted this plain flour. Again, the recipe doesn't say to sift it, but I thought I would. So we'll see if it makes any difference. So just incorporate the flour. This honestly is beautifully simple. It is a little bit like making a brownie mixture. You're actually making a batter. Right, I'm just going to speed that up a bit. I'm just going to go around with my spatula to catch all the bits of flour off the side and the bottom. Look, there we are. It's done basically. I'll just give it one more little whiz, but that's it. You could make this by hand. You actually don't need a food mixer. I'll just get, these are lickings on here. Michael will get there before I do, I think. So there we are. So this is now going to go into the lined tin. I'm using an 8-inch square tin, and this is going to go into the oven for 20 minutes at 170, but you will know your oven best. So if your oven tends to be rather on the hot side, you might need to turn it down a fraction. Mine, I tend to cook when I'm baking, I tend to turn my oven down probably by 10 degrees because my oven's a bit efficient. It's old, but it's still efficient. So the batter's gone in, get every scrap. Yum, yum. Buttery, sugary yumminess. There. And in fact, you don't even need to level it out. Look at that. It looks very fudge-like. There we go. So that's going in the oven for 20 minutes. And while that's cooking, you're going to need to cut some of your mini eggs in half. Now, Michael has very kindly cut these in half already for me, but you can do that while this is cooking. So in it pops for 20 minutes, and we'll come back when it's ready for the next stage. There you are, you little beauty. Lovely. Okay, everyone. The Blondie has had 20 minutes exactly. I checked it at 15 minutes and it was very pale. You don't want to get it too biscuity looking at this stage. There, it's just turning nicely brown. And so we're now, can you see that, Michael?
Thank you.
Yeah, is that better?
That's better, thank you. Don't burn yourself.
Yeah, okay. So now we're going to pop these cut mini eggs all over. Now don't be frightened to press them in to this doughy loveliness. Don't be worried about cracking anything. I'm going to do this all over. You can take your time. There's no need to really rush. Just be careful not to burn your fingers.
Do you have to avoid getting colours, the same colours next to each other?
Well, the trouble is, in these packets, whether they be Smarties or mini eggs, you never seem to get an even amount of any one colour. So you could end up with top-heavy white. So you see, just poke them in. You can be as rough as you like, really, because you're breaking up the mixture. And then you're going to put some whole mini eggs on as well. These should go back into the oven for 10 minutes, but to be perfectly honest, I think 10 minutes might be a tad too long, because I like the mixture to have a little bit of a squidginess about it. So although the recipe says a particular quantity, I think it says something like 225 grams of mini eggs, you'll probably find you don't need them all. Look, I'm putting some whole ones in now.
What happens to these that are left over, please?
I'll give everybody one guess as to what happens to them. Mr. Taylor eats them. So keep going. This is quite firm round the edges, so I think I'm going to give this minimal cooking back in the oven. But it's entirely up to you. If you want a more solid biscuity texture or cakey texture, then give it the full 10 minutes. But if you just want, you know, the flavour or the texture of raw cookie dough, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I love anything with that texture. Like steamed puddings, I always used to call them, if they were quite squidgy. My mum and my mum-in-law used to say, oh, they're a bit sad, but I love sad textures, so I like a sad cake and sad blondies. And I don't, do any of you call it sad when something hasn't quite firmed up sufficiently? So look, do you think that's enough? Michael, do you think that's enough? Gone in there?
Maybe one or two around the...
Let's have a white one. And you can put some of you can have some of these cut ones with the chocolate facing upwards. They don't all have to be face down.
And so later you're going to cut this into squares, aren't
So
you?
yes, this is going to go back in the oven for anything between 5 and 10 minutes, and then let it cool in the tin for at least 10 minutes when it comes out. And indeed, with the last lot I made, once the tin and the mixture had cooled down substantially, I'm sure I'm right in thinking I put them in the fridge for a short while, just to make cutting easier. So there we are. How's that? Will that do?
That looks
Is that
good.
enough?
Yeah.
Enough chocolatiness? Yeah, lovely and easy. The children and grandchildren will love sticking all these chocolate eggs in. Right, okay. Are we ready to go back into the oven? Oh, you can't resist, can you? Just piling them on. Very easy, very pretty, and very yummy. So there we are. I'm just going to give them 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Here's the cooked blondie. I've had it cooling in the tin for about the last 15 minutes, and I've just tried cutting it. I wanted to see how it cuts when it's still slightly warm, because it is still warm, only very slightly. And I wanted to see how squidgy it is in the middle. And I wanted to show you. Now, can you see this looks like very undercooked dough, doesn't it? Now, I like a blondie that is squidgy like that. You may not, in which case, cook it a bit longer. I gave this 5 minutes back in the oven. If you want it more biscuity, then you cook it for an extra 5 minutes. So I'm happy with that. The last batch I made, I felt that it was a little too biscuity. So this is a good experiment for me to see how this will work out when it comes to tasting it. So I'm going to cut them into portions. You should get about 16. It depends how generous you are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should get 16. So yes, it's cutting okay in a soft sort of way. So we shall see. The proof will be in the eating. So that is very soft dough in there. So experiment like me and see what you like. You know what your preferences are. So I'm going to pile some of these up here. These would make pretty little gifts for people at Easter. Children will love them, as well as grown-ups.
It does look very doughy.
It
Maggie.
does look very doughy. Ooh,
But you
we've
don't
lost
mind
one.
that, do you?
No, I love that. But we'll see what you think when we come to taste them. We'll definitely try one later. That definitely looks doughy.
Yes.
So we'll see once it's cooled down. So please yourselves what you do. It's your bake. You can have it how you like it. So there we are. There we are. An Easter mini egg blondie for your delectation.